My name is Nikhil Wagle, and I'm running for State Senate District 47 of Iowa. I have lived in this community for 25 years. Actually, 26 years now. And Arson and I, who's right over there, we decided to move to Iowa for many reasons. We decided to come here and start our careers. We decided to come here and raise our family. And we decided to come here and invest in this community. And we have done that. And over the last 26 years, we have fallen in love with the state of Iowa. And since we have fallen in love with Iowa, this is a state that is so important to us that we want to make sure that the future of Iowa is bright. One of my passions that I've had has been, of course, education, which is why I've been in the school board for 12 years. Even though my kids graduated about 9 years ago, I've continued on it because it's not just about my kids, it's about all of our kids and all of our grandkids. And so I've been in the school board for 12 years, and what that has shown me is why Iowa is such an amazing place to raise a child because of the public education system. But I've got to be honest with you that over the last several years and the last legislative sessions, as Mike pointed out, the legislature has continued to chip away at the public education system. From the voucher bills to having issues with regards to not enough funding, where we really have only state supplemental funding each year that is much less than inflation. We have several schools, over 50% of the schools in this state are on what's called a budget guarantee, which is not a good thing. And we have a hard time recruiting and retaining teachers. There's a lot of teachers here, so before I continue, everybody give a shout out to all the teachers who are in public education that are here. We thank you immensely for everything you do for our community and for our children. And so one of the things that I want to do is make sure that we prioritize public education. We have $300 million being taken out of our state budget, our tax money, that is going to private schools with no accountability. You understand that? No accountability. They can take the money and they can do whatever they want with it, and we cannot have any accountability, versus public schools have to account for every single penny. I can tell you that regardless of what your political affiliation is, that's not right for taxpayer money. So the person who I'm running against, he voted for it. Is that putting Iowans first? I don't think so. It's not at all. We have SSA funding that he voted for 2%. Doesn't even keep up with inflation. Is that putting public education in Iowans first? No. I don't think so. So there's multiple reasons why I'm running. Public education is one of them, because in Iowa, we have the promise. When I moved here, I realized that Iowans really do have, they've made a promise to all of the students and kids in this state. And that promise is that they are going to get a great education. One, where they're going to have well-compensated teachers, they're going to have classrooms that are well-equipped, and they're going to be taught the skills not just to do things once they're done with high school, but what they're going to be doing afterwards and the skills to deal with life in general. And it doesn't matter which school you're in, whether you are in a suburban school or you're in a rural school, the opportunities should be the same. That is what the AEA did. It helped kind of equalize things across the whole state. And what did our state legislature do? They are dismantling the AEA right now. And who voted for it? The guy who I'm running against. Does that, all these things that I've mentioned to you, does that speak for somebody who cares about public education? I don't think so. So when I get to the state legislature, I am going to be your individual, just like Mike Zimmer, to make sure that we make sure public education in this state is funded appropriately, and that we are giving every opportunity for our kids to fulfill that promise that we have given them, to allow every student in this state to dream big. All right? My wife and I are both physicians, and there are plenty of physicians here too. So let's give a clap to all the physicians who came out today. Over the last 26 years, I think most doctors will tell you that things are harder now than they ever were before for physicians and for patients. We are seeing harder, more difficult access to care. We are seeing more issues with affordability. We have high cost of prescription drugs, and we have rural hospitals that are closing, people and healthcare providers leaving rural areas, and people have to drive several hours to even get their care. And with this most recent bill that was passed at the federal level, the big beautiful bill, we have at least 3 hospitals in our district that are rural hospitals are going to close because of that. Again, that is not putting Iowans first at all. If you guys don't know, we have the highest rate of cancer than any other state. We have the lowest amount of OBGYN doctors per capita than any other state. When people have affordable health care and they get health care, what does it do? It helps our economy because we have a healthier community, and that's very important. The final thing is we want to basically have our state legislature invest in communities again. We have more people leaving this state than coming into the state, especially our young individuals. And they are leaving for a multitude of reasons. And what do we want? We want people to come back into this state because we have a lot to offer. Well, how are we going to do that? We need to, what are most people looking for when they come to a community? They're looking for good public education, good health care, and a good job, and a nice community that is invested in. And so that's another thing that I want to maintain my focus on, is to make sure that we try and pass laws that are going to try and help bring more people into the state, because it's only going to help us for the future, so that my children will continue to want to stay in the state, and your children and grandchildren will want to as well. So in summary, I am really excited. There's a lot of other issues that we have to deal with, but these are some of my top priorities. And I know it's a little chilly, so I want to let you guys get to some more drinking and having some more of the food here. Drinking safely, of course. But as we've mentioned, this year, you guys, has been a very good year. It's been a good year because we're starting to see some change in Iowa. And there is a huge momentum brewing right now. The tide is shifting. You saw what Mike Zimmer did in his in his state senate district, okay? He was and you guys know that this was the first special election in the entire country after the November election. And that made national news. And then we saw it again in Cedar Rapids, and we saw it again just last week with Caitlin Dre in Sioux City. Well, what does that mean? That means that you guys, people are sick of the status quo. And so all that I'm asking is that you guys join me. It's going to take a large effort, because if you think that the other team is going to just let this position slide, that ain't happening. So I'm going to need as much help as I can for fundraising, for volunteering, for signs, for anything possible. Please sign up. We can do this. We can do this together, and once we do this together, I will be successful, and we will all be successful, because now we will finally have a voice. We will have your voice. We will have our collective voice at the state senate, and that is what this district needs. It needs a voice because it doesn't have one right now. Bipartisanship back to the state government, because when you have bipartisanship, then you will not forget who you're working for, and it's for all of us. Let's put Iowans first. We need to do that. Thank you very much.